Can you prevent somebody from gaslighting you? Well, yes and no. We can't actually prevent somebody from trying to gaslight us. And if we use the 3 tips that I'm going to share in this video, chances are we won't be gaslighted. Hi, I'm Ashton. I'm a licensed psychotherapist. I specialize in working with highly sensitive people, and I'm an HSP myself. Again, we can't prevent somebody from trying to do anything, really, including gaslight us. What we can do is follow the next 3 tips so that when someone does try to gaslight us, they won't be successful. So tip number 1 is to trust yourself. Trust your intuition. And if you're a highly sensitive person, these tips and tools apply to everyone, not just highly sensitive people. And if you're a highly sensitive person, we have a more finely tuned intuition. We can sense things that other people don't sense, or we can know things that other people don't know or know them ahead of time. And this can get tricky if you don't trust yourself. So, for example, let's say a partner senses that the other partner is not being completely truthful about something, but the partner denies it or doesn't admit it. But the thing is that this partner, the other partner, hasn't even become aware of this, him or herself. It hasn't come into conscious awareness, so they can't admit it or they can't take responsibility for it. So as a highly sensitive person, you could possibly be aware of something before your partner or another person is aware of it. Therefore, it can feel like they're lying or even they're trying to gaslight you. But in this situation, they're just not even aware of it themselves. You know, sometimes highly sensitive people can be aware of people's tells. You know, that tell when somebody's lying. You know, if you know somebody really well, maybe they look maybe they look down to the right, or if they're lying, they put their hair behind their ear, or if it's a man, he clears his throat or something, or a woman, it doesn't matter. And so as a highly sensitive person, we pick up on these tells. And we want to trust our intuition. So if you trust yourself, you trust your instincts, then if somebody is trying to gaslight you, they're not going to be able to. And we talked about in the first video, I went into great detail about what gaslighting actually is. And in part 2, we talked about what in the world this has to do with highly sensitive people and whether highly sensitive people are more prone to gaslighting or not. So if you haven't watched those 2 videos, go back and check them out. And one of the things that we talked about in part 2 is that if you are a highly sensitive person and you had a supportive, positive childhood, you're more likely to trust your intuition and your instincts. And if you had a childhood that wasn't supportive, or there was abuse or neglect, or your intuition wasn't validated, you're less likely to trust your intuition and your instincts. So that's tip number 1, to trust your intuition and your instincts. And remember, fear is not intuition. And a simple way to remember the difference between fear and intuition is that intuition moves you toward something. So I'm intuiting that I would like to befriend this person. I'm moving toward this person. I'm intuiting or sensing that this would be a great job fit for me. So I'm moving towards this job. Fear, you're moving away from something. I'm feeling or sensing that I don't want to get on this plane, so I'm moving away from this plane. Or I don't want to take this path or go down this alley, so I'm moving away from that alley or path in a different direction. So fear is not the same thing as intuition. And if you have any questions about what's fear and what's intuition, drop it in the comments below, and I'd be happy to help with that. So tip number 2 is setting healthy boundaries. Setting healthy boundaries means being able to say no and also to ask for what you need. So saying no, it's not okay to, no, I'm not going to participate in this conversation, or no, it's not okay to tell me that you didn't do that or didn't say that when I know that you did. Or no, even the more challenging one is no, I'm not going to be in this relationship any longer because I know what I know and this doesn't feel right. Setting healthy boundaries can be more challenging for highly sensitive people because it can be more difficult for us to say no because we really don't like to see other people disappointed, even though as you become healthier and learn about healthy boundaries, you'll know that we don't actually disappoint others. People are responsible for their own feelings. So if somebody's disappointed by you saying no, that's on them to be able to manage their own emotions. And actually setting healthy boundaries is healthy for both the person setting them and the person with whom you're setting them. Setting healthy boundaries is also asking for what you need. That can also be challenging for the highly sensitive person because we can often feel like we have too many needs because the truth is we have more needs than the average bear. And so we can feel like if we're asking for what we need, it's like, oh, I'm asking for what I need again. There go my needs. So until you really can practice self-compassion and self-acceptance, that could be a challenge for you. So that's tip number 2, setting healthy boundaries. And then tip number 3 is ask for help. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. That can be help from your therapist, like myself. That could be help from your best friend. If you trust your best friend, hopefully you do, and your best friend is a safe person, hopefully he or she is. It could be a safe family member. It can even be a safe medical person, like let's say, God forbid, you wind up in the emergency room or something and, you develop a connection with the nurse or something and you can confide in them and ask for help. You can say, something feels really off in this relationship and I feel like I'm being abused. Because even though there aren't any physical marks from emotional abuse is just as damaging, if not more damaging than physical abuse. Why could it be potentially more damaging? Because there's nothing to show for it. If there's physical abuse, it's very obvious. Oh, I've got a black eye. Oh, I've got a broken rib. If there's nothing that's visible to the eye, the naked eye of someone else, people might there's no visible evidence, let's say. So it can be even more damaging because now there's even the added layer of some people might feel like, oh, I have to prove it that I'm being emotionally abused. Where if there's physical marks left on the body, there's nothing to prove. The physical evidence is right there. And sometimes we can feel shame if we're in these relationships that are emotionally abusive. You never know who's going to be in an emotionally abusive relationship. As a matter of fact, I was in an emotionally abusive relationship once, long ago. Never in a million years did I think that I would end up in a relationship such as this, and I did. And you can feel great shame about this. So the best buster of shame is to share, right? So part of the deal with perpetrators is that they are expecting us to stay quiet. And so we need to find our voice and speak up, ask for help. So share this video with somebody if you feel like they might be gaslighted or they're in an emotionally abusive relationship and you think it might help them. And hit the like button and consider subscribing. So the 3 tips, let's review the 3 tips. Tip number 1, trust your intuition and your instincts. And remember, intuition is not the same as fear. Tip number 2, set healthy boundaries. Ask for what you need, say no. Tip number 3, ask for help from a safe person. Okay, I hope you found this information helpful. And remember, when you understand your sensitivity, you too can claim it as your greatest asset.